Om. Om Shri Ganeshaya Namaha. Om Shri Saraswatyai Namaha. Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Sada Shiva Samarambham Shankaracharya Madhyamam Asmadacharya Paryantam Vande Guru Paramparam. Shruti Smriti Purananam Alayam Karunalayam Namami Bhagavatpada Shankaram Lokashankaram. Shankaram Shankaracharyam Keshavam Badharayanam Sutrabhashya Kritav Vande Bhagavantau Punah Punah. Samasta Janakalyane Niratam Karunamayam Namami Chinmayam Devam Sadgurum Brahmavidvaram. Sadgurum Brahmavidvaram. Om Sahana Bhavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Sahavidyam Karavavahai Tejasvinavaditamastu Mavid Vishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Sarva Vedanta Siddhanta Gocharam Tamagocharam Govindam Paramanandam Sadgurum Pranatosmyaham. Sadgurum Pranatosmyaham. Hari Om. I'm sure you all will agree that our biggest problem is our own mind. There's no two ways about it. Because that mind is always with us. We can never get rid of it. Some people we like, some people we don't like. If we don't like somebody's company, we can walk away or make them walk away. But this darn mind, nothing you can do about it. So, and Bhagwan Shankaracharya also says that, and he says, Tasman manakkaranamasya janto bandasya mokshas bandasya hetur malinam rajogunai mokshasya shuddham virajastamaskam. So he says, the mind alone is the cause of bondage, and the mind itself is the cause for liberation. The impure mind is the cause of bondage. And the impurity of the mind we need to understand. The impurity of the mind is the rajoguna and the tamoguna. Mind goes through all that. Every one of us we are. So it's a tamo guna and rajo guna that causes. Rajas and tamas, and is relatively sattvic, then that mind is a very light mind. It's not a burdensome mind. And using that mind, we can put forth efforts, and thereby such a mind is the cause for liberation also. So he says, you gain that pure mind. How? Viveka vairagya gunatirekat shuddhatvam asadya mano vimukyai bhavatyato buddhimato mumuksho tabhyam dridhabhyam bhavitavyam agre. You have to do that, purify that mind through viveka and vairagya. Only such a mind, that alone is fit for Vedanta Vichara, which is very much required to gain this knowledge, leading to liberation. Therefore, an intelligent seeker of liberation must firmly attain, try to get these two, Viveka, Vairagya. Having emphasized the importance of Viveka and Vairagya, a warning to the seeker, Mano nama mahavyagraha Vishayaranya bhumishu charati atra na gachantu sadhavo ye mumukshavaha. So he says, the seeker of liberation should not let the mind called tiger roam about in the forest of sense objects. Vyagraha, tiger, it should not be roaming in Vishayaranya, the forest of sense objects. One should be very careful with the mind. Mana prasute vishayana seshan sulatmana sukshmataya cha bhoktuh sharira varna sramajati vedat guna kriya hetupalani nityam. The mind alone is responsible for bhoktru, bhogya relationship, the enjoyer, enjoyand relationship, and that is what we call samsara. That is samsara. The mind alone creates all these bhogya vishayas into two forms, the gross and subtle. All troubles are caused by the ignorant mind. Ignorant mind. Therefore, you don't have to destroy the mind. Just convert the ignorant mind to a wise mind. So that's what we have seen so far. So today we continue with verse 178. Asangachidrupamamam vimohya Asangachidrupamamam vimohya Dehendriya pranagunair nibadhaya Dehendriya pranagunair nibadhya Aham mameti Brahmayatyajasram aham mameti brahmayatyajasram manak swakrityeshu phalo prabhuktishu manak swakrityeshu phala babhukshitu asangachidrupamamam vimoya Dehendriya pranagunai nibadhya aham mameti brahmayatyajasram manasvakriyeshu palopabhuktishu manasvakriyeshu palopabhuktishu. It was said, the mind alone into activity, constantly saying, do this, this will happen. Buy that, and you will be happy. Therefore, do this, do that. Constantly, the mind is ordering us. The globalization has brought about 24 hours of activity. 3 o'clock in the morning, you get up online and order something. Or you have not even gone to bed. Why do that? Uh, will this kind of activity end one day? Can I at any time say, everything is over, I am full, I am fulfilled, I've gained the Purnatvam, job is done. Let's put an end to everything. Is that possible? Doesn't seem to be that way. You seem to be working 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 52 weeks in a year, and year after year. The drudgery goes on. All the years of your life, you've just been doing that. Okay, you've done all that, but are you fulfilled? Mm-mm. I get so much involved, and because of all the involvement, what is the result? Not able to enjoy my ever peaceful Asanga Swarupa Atma, which is Purnaha. That Atma is ever full, and I am that. But I don't get that. Will I ever get that Purnatva? Will I ever be Purnaha, Nityaha, Shuddhaha, Muktaha, Asangaha? Will I ever be that? We eternally lose sight of our true nature. This is what's going on. The culprit is the mind, which is obsessed with this Hetupala series. Hetupala is a technical term that we have seen in Mandukya, cause and effect, cause effect. Stop blaming the world, start blaming your own ignorant mind. The more you begin to recognize the problem is with the ignorant mind, the more you will start working toward gaining the knowledge to remove the ignorance. This is the change of direction that we need. That is not there. All our worldly activities will only increase. And then there will be no vichara, inquiry into the truth, to the reality. So the proper direction in our life should be from activity to inquiry. This does not mean you do nothing. Okay. You can have any number of goals in life, but with Purnatvam throughout. Instead of working for happiness, you begin to work with happiness, you begin to work from happiness. This requires only knowledge, freely available knowledge, a simple knowledge. And what is that? Asangaha Atma Aham Asmi. I am the self. Asangaha, untouched by anything. It's the mind that is preventing me from attaining this knowledge and putting me into all kinds of problems, keeping me in samsara. So look at the shloka. He says, Manaha amom vimoya. So the mind dilutes. This mind confuses the jiva. The jiva, really speaking, is Chidrupam, of the nature of consciousness, untouched by the ups and downs of life. All those things that we go through in life can never affect my fulfillment, my fullness, my purnatvam. Na karmana vartate, na kaniyan. Any amount of action is not going to increase my original status, nor any amount of loss is going to decrease that status. That infinite status, can you increase infinite? Can you decrease it? The very definition of infinite, it doesn't have that. That's it. No increase, no decrease. And that is you. That is your Swarupam. That is also Chidrupam, Chaitanya Swarupam. Nature of consciousness. Such a wonderful jiva is deluded by the mind. The limitations of the mind are superimposed on this. I disown, I disclaim my original nature, and in its place, I've settled for the perishable, decaying, graying, growing old physical body and this mind. Instead of claiming I am that Nitya Atma, the eternal self, I have settled for this Shariram, the ephemeral body, be it the gross or the subtle. So the mind, Deha, Indriya, Prana, Gunaihi, Nibadhya, the mind ties down the jiva to the body, the sense organs, prana, and their conditions. I take the properties, conditions of these upadhis and throw it on myself. They are all Nalini dalakata jalamati taralam tattva jivitam atishaya chapalam. Chapalam. They are like the water drop on the lotus leaf. So the lotus leaf has this wonderful quality, property, that the water drop on it doesn't wet it. It's just dancing on that leaf. It doesn't stick to it. So this example is given in two different situations to be detached. Like the water drop on the lotus leaf. It's not sticky. That is one. Here, this example is quite often given because it is that way. And if the wind blows, since it's not sticking to that leaf, it'll just fall. How long will that water drop be on that leaf? Cannot predict. Any instant, the water drop will fall off. Similar to that is our human life. How many examples, how many times you have seen person was hale and healthy, then you get the news. It just happened. Just 3 weeks back, this gentleman was here. We had this conference, international conference, Chinmaya University. This gentleman was there. He was a graduate of the school, went on to get a PhD, and just 50 years old. We interacted with them. He was here for the whole conference, 3 days. He went back to Mumbai, and the next day, he just passed away in his sleep. I was I didn't get the news 2 days later. And then saw his face. Hey, this is a very familiar face. What is this? Then I read. Then I asked people around, yeah, you didn't know the news? Passed away 2 days back. So, how many examples we come across? Mhm. So, this is the nature of this body. Mhm. I am hooked onto that. Once I come down to that level, aham mama iti ajasram brahmayati. The mind makes the jiva run about as I, as mine. I run all over with this ahamiti, ahankara. This is me. And then mamakar. This is my wife. These are my children. My husband, my father, like that. My business empire. Ahankara and mamakar. That means samsara. I'm not asking you to stop. Okay. All right. You inspired me. I'm just going to pack up and leave. I'm not saying that. All right. We have to gain that wisdom, that knowledge. Right now, the notion is aham mama, I and my. And with this notion, we are continuing our life. Ajasram brahmayati, roaming around, wandering. The jiva constantly roams about swakriyeshu in respective activities. Swakriyeshu. Any ahankara and mamakara involves corresponding duties. Once I take myself to be something, duties, responsibilities related to that are there, will be there. So I have to act, and I also phala upabhuktishu, enjoy the results of those actions. You do action, you have to experience the results. The mind does all this. The mind is a culprit. So take care of the mind. Take care of the mind. Continuing, he says, अध्यासदोषात् पुरुषस्य संसृतिः अध्यास्य दोषात् पुरुषस्य संसृतिः अध्यास्य बन्धस्तु अमुनैव कल्पितः अध्यास्य बन्धस्तु अमुनैव कल्पितः रजस्तमो दोषवतो विवेकिनः रजस्तमो दोषवतो विवेकिनः जन्मादिदुःखस्य निदानमेतत् जन्मादिदुःखस्य निदानमेतत् अध्यास्य दोषात् पुरुषस्य संसृतिः अध्यास्य बन्धस्तु अमुनैव कल्पितः रजस्तमो दोषवतो विवेकिनः जन्मादिदुःखस्य निदानमेतत्. Almost the same idea only as in the previous verse, just presented in a little bit different way. Slightly different, that's all. In the previous shloka, Bhashyakara talked about only wandering in the world, going about doing so many activities, worldly activities, due to the conditions of the mind. Here he extends is the cause for wandering in repeated births. We are running around from one life, punarapi jananam, punarapi maranam, again and again. This cycle of births. Mhm. The mind causes problems not only within one's life, but even from life to life. Jumping like a frog. It's the same mind which does that. So, adhyasa doshat, meaning samsara. Samsara is defined in many ways. One deha abhimana, identification with the body, is called samsara. Because of that, we do karma, then karma palas. So all that is samsara. Because of that karma, there is samsara. Because of that karma pala, there is samsara. Punya papa mishram, the mixture of punya papa, that is called samsara. And because of punya papa mishram, sukha dukkha anubhava, experience of joy and sorrow, that is also samsara. All these are known by the general term samsara. This samsara is purushasya. This is there for human being, jivasya. For living being, the samsara is there. For living beings other than human beings, animals are there, birds, insects, they're also living beings. They have only gross suffering. A cow has only biological samsara. A dog has only this physical samsara. If there is a stray dog and a naughty boy picks up a stone and throws at the dog, it hits, it is physical pain. And it hurts a little bit, it cries, and may run away and forgets about it. The same dog has a wonderful master. He is pampered very well, and she takes it to Westminster Dog Show, and that dog is just the winner. Who is proud of that prize? Does that dog care? Who is walking proudly with a beaming smile on her face? Along with the dog. She's also running. So the dog doesn't have any samsara per se. If at all it has, it is that a little bit discomfort here and there. So animals, other living beings face only instinctive biological problems. The subtle problems that we humans have is because of our mind. We have subtle samsara. Therefore, Purushasya means the Jivarashis in general, human beings in particular. They suffer samsara. Adhyasa doshat. Because of the superimposition, adhyasa, superimposition, because of abhimana, identification with the body, mind, intellect, etc., and then take the properties, limitations of the body, mind, intellect, and we throw it on ourselves, superimpose. That is adhyasa. The animals are only instinctive abhimana. So we have that instinctive. Of course, if you get a paper cut, it hurts. It is. And on top of that, we have this deliberate identification. So that is what is called adhyasa. This adhyasa, abhimana, is a dosha, a defect. In the philosophical context, abhimana is an asura guna, negative thing. We've seen in Bhagavad Gita, dambo dharpo bhimanascha krodha parushyameva. So here in Vedantic sense, we say deha abhimana is a dosha. And because of that dosha, there is samsara. Question is, if deha abhimana is the culprit, why do you blame the mind? The identification with the body is the problem. Why do you blame the mind? Bhashikara says, unfortunately, this identification you're talking about is created by the mind. That identification, where does it come? Comes from the mind. Therefore, amuna manasa eva, by this mind alone, adhyasa bandha kalpitaha. This bandha, the bondage, adhyasa of adhyasa, the bondage of superimposition is created, imagined by the mind only. The direct problem is adhyasa. The superimposition is the direct cause, but that in turn is caused by the mind. So the ultimate problem is the mind. How do you know that the mind is generating the superimposition? What's the proof? Without proof, how can you blame the mind? Proof is very simple. Very simple. In Jagrat and Swapna avasthas, in the waking and the dream states, the mind is active. The mind is functioning. Deha abhimana is there. Identification with the respective body. The waker's body in the waking state, the dreamer's body in the dream state. Ahankara is there. I, me, all that is there. Mamakara, mine. This I-ness and minus is all there. Waking and dream states. But when you go to sleep, in the deep sleep state, the mind is not functioning. It is resolved. You have no identification with the body, with the sense organs, the mind. You don't say while you are sleeping, I'm a man, a woman, nothing. That kind of a body identification is not there. Deep sleep, you don't have a wife, you don't have a son, you don't have a husband, you don't have a mother-in-law, nothing. Ahankara, mamakara, it's not there in deep sleep. Ahankara, mamakara comes when the mind is active in waking and dream states. When the mind is resolved as in deep sleep state, there is no samsara. So simple logic. We have seen it several times. The Anvaya Vyatireka logic. Manasaha sattve adhyasa sattvam. When the mind is there, the superimposition is there, samsara is there. Manasaha abhave, when the mind is not there, adhyasaha abhavaha. Adhyasa, superimposition, identification, etc. It's not there. Samsara also is not there. Tasmat, therefore, manaha eva adhyasasya karanam. So mind alone is the cause for this superimposition and the consequent samsara. That's what he says. Amuna manasa eva adya. The bondage is created by this mind alone. Now you go to the last line. Etadeva nidhanam. Before the mind alone is responsible, nidhanam means karanam. Mind alone is the cause. What? Janmadi dukkasya. Janma adi. Birth, etc. Birth, growth, decay, diseases, death, all of them. All the problems like janma, birth, etc. All the 6 modifications, asti, jayate, vardate, viparanamate, apakshiyate, vinashyati, all 6 modifications that this body goes through. Is the problem over after vinasha, after death? No. Punaha api. Again and again, the cycle continues. In short, etadeva samsarasya nidhanam. The mind alone is the mind. That mind alone is the cause for samsara. When Bhashyakara criticizes the mind strongly, one may begin to hate the mind. So they begin to say, therefore the mind has to be destroyed and all that. Therefore, he says, mind is not a problem for all the people. The wise people deal with the mind. They handle it, they manage it very nicely. In fact, they enjoy their beautiful mind. And Bhagavan Sri Krishna gives a nice, beautiful description in the Bhagavad Gita. Adveshta sarvabhutanam maitra karuna evacha nirmamo nirahankaraha samadukka sukha kshami. Santushta satatam yogi yatatma dhrida nischayah. Beautiful verses, the 12th chapter. They enjoy all these beautiful virtues. Adveshta, they don't hate anybody. Maitra, friendly to everyone. Karuna, kindness. They're all there. Nirmamo nirahankara. They don't have mamakara and ahankara. Samadukka sukha. Joy and sorrow, they are equal. Kshami, they have patience, they have forgiveness, all those wonderful qualities. Where are these qualities? In the mind only. So, don't blame the mind. Cultivate the mind, turn it around in the right direction. So Shankaracharya says, mind is a problem only for certain people, the avivekinaha, the unintelligent people. They don't know how to use the tool. A sharp knife, it can do so many things. It can hurt, it can also heal. That knife in the hands of a skillful surgeon can do a nice operation, remove whatever needs to be removed. The same knife in the hands of a criminal is used to hurt people. It's not the instrument's fault. Mind is an instrument. You need to know how to handle it. Avivekinaha purushasya dukkasya manaha nidhanam. The mind is the cause for the aviveki, unintelligent person. Sorrow Who is an aviveki? The technical definition of an aviveki is given rajastamo doshavatah. The one who has the defects of rajo and tamoguna. The person in whom this rajo dosha and tamo dosha are predominant. Such a person is an unintelligent person. The rajo guna is there. It shows up as extroversion. An extrovert person, somebody whose mind, sense organs are always going out into the worldly things. That is indicative of rajoguna. Doing so many things, he has no time to think. And whatever he's thinking is only about worldly matters. The glory of rajoguna is the glory of Maya only. Okay. All of us have all three gunas. So we just need to manage them properly. Tamoguna makes the mind sleepy, lazy, indolent. So we are either hyperactive or totally lazy, rajas and tamas. Such a person will have problems. We all have all the three gunas. We have to very diligently work, replace tamoguna by rajoguna by sattva guna, and then go beyond sattva. So we have studied all this, Bhagavad Gita 14th chapter. So it is the gunas which makes. Rajoguna and tamoguna. Rajoguna makes you extrovert. Tamoguna makes you inert, dull. So you have to get over that. That's all. And yes, we have to turn the mind around. Continuing, he says, Atah prahurmano vidyam. Atah prahurmano vidyam. Panditastatvadarshinaha. Panditastatvadarshinaha. Yenaiva brahmyate vishvam. Yenaiva brahmyate vishvam. Vayunevabramandalam. Vayunevabramandalam. Atah prahurmano vidyam. Panditastatvadarshinaha. Yenaiva brahmyate vishvam. Vayurnevabramandalam. Here, Shankaracharya gives an incidental piece of information. In the case of this aviveki, in whom sattva guna is suppressed, very little. Not that it is not there. It is not the predominant. It is dominated by rajoguna and tamoguna. So when it is dominated by tamoguna, avidya is dominant. Avidya, ignorance, the veiling power of Maya. That is called avidya. And when that is dominant, the mind itself is called avidya. Even though the mind is strictly not avidya. But when that mind is predominantly tamoguna, such a mind is saturated with ignorance. So we call it ignorance itself. See, when the food is mixed with some poison, do you make any distinction? You call that food poison only. Similarly, ajnana sahitam manaha This mind, which is jnana, is called as a jnana. Therefore, he says, ataha, therefore, panditaha, the wise people, tattvadarshinah, who are seers of the truth, manaha avidya prahu. They say the mind is avidya. The wise people who have studied the scriptures and who abide in this teaching declare that the mind itself is avidya, ignorance. They say for all practical purposes, mind can be taken as ignorance because it is saturated with ignorance. Then, yenaiva vishwam brahmyate. Because of this ignorant mind alone, due to the ignorance of ignorant saturated mind, vishwam brahmyate, the whole world is spinning around, wandering about in samsara. Brahmyate, roaming around, not knowing where to go. You go hither and thither. One is in the middle of a desert, say Sahara Desert. How do we know which is the way out? The desert is a vast area or in the middle of ocean. If you are in the desert, it's already hot. You run here, hoping there will be some relief. No, it continues. So, taptaha, scorched. You get scorched by adhyatmika, adidaivika, adhibhautika, tapaihi. Vishwam, the entire world is in the grip of ignorance. Everyone in it thinks whatever he or she is doing is great. They declare that in a big way, I did that, I did this, I've gone there, I've accomplished so much. And they say Shankaracharya and those wise people, they don't know anything. So they have the same problem. That's why they have come to the spiritual line. In fact, many people may be wondering about all of you. You are all attending these classes. Something has happened. I tell you, they were normal. Now they don't come to parties at all. Weekend only. And they say, weekend only, I have these classes. Saturday, this Panchadashi class, Sunday, Gita class. I can't come, sorry. What happened to you? The whole world criticizes the wise people. Don't pay any attention to that. Shankaracharya says elsewhere, the whole world is a mental hospital, lunatic asylum. Here he says, Vishwam, the world. World means people of the world. Such people, Janaha, Sarve Janaha, Yenaiva, referring to the ignorant people. Because of the ignorant mind alone, the whole world wanders in samsara. Gives an example. Vayuna abra mandalam iva. Like the clouds that get tossed around by the wind. The clouds keep moving all the time. Does it enjoy moving about? No, it's not happily moving about. But it does not have the freedom to decide where to go. Who decides? The wind. Like rainy clouds are there. You think it is going to rain. But before it starts to rain, the clouds driven away in another direction. Similarly, a Paramahamsa Parivrajaka Acharya is moving about carefree. Nandati Nandatyeva, he is reveling in Brahman. By the same token, an ignorant man does not have that freedom. He gets knocked about, pushed by his mind. Ignorant mind, which has been called avidya, that tosses him around. Clouds are not in control, pushed by powerful winds. Similarly, the mind pushes the Aviveki around powerful winds. Beautiful comparison. What is the remedy? Problem has been explained. What is the solution? We have diagnosed the disease. What is the medicine that will cure the disease? Here Shankaracharya prescribes that medicine. What is that? We'll see that in the next class. Om Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavasheshyate. Om Shante Shante Shantehi. Harihi Om. Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om.